So, Tony, did you want to do the introduction to the podcast?
Yeah, sure, I can do that.
Do the title first. Let's go.
All right. Well, welcome to Mechs, Magic, and Myth. I've already screwed it up, and we are 30 seconds into the podcast.
Yeah, well, maybe we should start it over. Do it right.
Well, there are no do-overs in real life, so we're just gonna move on with this as we
Welcome to
continue.
the Mechs and Magic podcast. There you
Welcome
go.
to the podcast where we never get our name right.
We'll change it next week.
Mechs, Myth, and Magic. Mechs, Myth, and Magic. Mechs, Myth, and Myth.
No, it's
Yep,
myths.
I can't see. I can't
It's
do that.
myths,
We're gonna change the name
Mechs,
after today, so
and magic.
stay tuned.
Myths, Mechs, and Magic.
Anyway, so welcome to a podcast where a bunch of nerds talk about daily life, nerdy things, and what we look forward to, what we love, and what we hate about today's current climate, culture, and love of fandom. I am Tony Avila.
Make us sound like skinheads.
How?
Where we judge today's culture and climate. BLM, feminism.
I was more thinking about just, the aspect of sci-fi and how it impacts today
You
and
did say that.
what it says about our current climate.
How BLM and feminism has permeated our cultural zeitgeist. No, I'm joking. It has, but I'm just.
Well,
I am
I
awesome.
am Dante from DanteDreams.com.
Hey man, don't be plugging your.
Heck yeah, I'm going to plug my stuff. That's the point of a podcast. Also, Danticus streaming on Twitch and everywhere else.
Plug away, Dante. Plug away.
Young Jamie, would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is Eves. I am the. I don't even know what I would call myself.
Eves is our producer.
I guess
He
so.
essentially is sitting at a laptop, a nice blue HP, I might add.
Hey, don't be giving them insider information about me.
What? It's all in their imaginations, unless they're watching from Dante's video up there.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're gonna see it anyway.
You're right. You're right. I guess it is an insider information. True. You got me there. All right.
Well, so moving forward, we can only talk about your little setup here for so long before we eventually lose people. So I'm imagining we've already lost people. We don't have people yet, and people that we did have are already gone. So
Hey, can we keep all your negativity away? Thank you.
Yeah, usually podcasts they start off with a little bit of banter and stuff like that. They don't just dive right in.
oh man,
But you can dive right in and probably figure out some better segues instead of anywho.
oh yeah, it's,
This is
Making you sound like a
episode
dodo.
1, so,
if you're
Plus
listening to this,
allowances.
it means we were brave enough to actually put this up and not use it as a test score.
Plus I can edit it out. This will be like episode 0, like the
Yeah.
episode they keep
All
in
of the
vault.
blunder.
the pilot.
All of
great.
the blunder.
So why don't we just go around the table really quick and talk about what our fandoms are and just stuff we like. And we can start with the producer.
Dang, that's kind of.
Put you on a spot. You didn't even want to be
yeah,
on
I'm supposed to
camera.
be the producer. I should be like the guy who's quiet, who doesn't really say much. Maybe ask questions for the audience. Okay, well, my thing in my fandom, my main fandom is anime. I'm so much into anime. I got my nephew into it, and he watches anime now. Don't know what he watches, but my sister was like, "He's watching anime because of you." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that's pretty cool." But I grew up on that. My spare time, I like hanging out with you guys and our other friends that we have a pretty interesting circle of guys and gals around us that we hang out with. I love not social media, but pop culture. I like comics. I love manga, movies. Yeah, just about anything that'll keep me entertained for more than like 5 minutes. But I love 3D modeling as well. I just got into that, so that's something I'm dabbling in. I just made a model not too long ago and released it. And I started an ArtStation account, so I would say, Dante, you should probably do that. I think I told Sabian to do that.
What's your name on ArtStation?
I don't want to even say it here on here
Oh,
either.
you don't want to promote?
I don't want to promote.
He doesn't want to
I'm-
plug it.
I'm like more into like doing it for myself and getting the satisfaction for myself. People on the web, if they know who I am, they'll find me. And there's people who I have followers or whatever. Everybody has followers, but
I don't have followers.
Well, they follow my 3D models, and they make compliments and comments and stuff like, "Whoa, man, that thing looks like a vector." I'm like, thank you. So it's
So now they can put your voice with your art.
I don't know if anybody who's listening to this will be tracking my 3D models. I think they're like separate like cultures.
You guys and your negativity.
I'm not being negative. I'm just being honest.
The internet is an amazing place.
I think you're right.
And your stalkers are gonna find a way to stalk you.
I don't think they're gonna stalk me because they're not gonna really see me, huh?
They gotta listen to something while they're doing their own little modeling. So,
no, I think when it comes to art, it's best to. This is something I just picked up and I'm still trying to implement, but it's best to like do it in quiet, because it allows you to just focus and concentrate on your craft rather than like having like. Not say it's bad to have influences. I think if you have influences, they're gonna already affect how you process and how you make what you're creating, but to have silence is like to like kind of like narrow in that focus and to be able to really get work done, so I've just been listening to other 3D modelers and them talking about that and how they don't listen to music or have videos in the background. I am a avid violator of that, so I'm learning to not do that as much, but yeah. That's me. Sorry for taking so long.
No, man, that's awesome. We want to learn. I want to learn more about you, and I want everyone listening to the podcast to learn about all of us. So
true. We're going in clockwise, counterclockwise.
You rock,
paper, scissors, shoot.
Or you can just
the mics pick up everything, guys.
Oh, I win. You go first.
All right. So I am Tony Avila. I am not as cool as any kind of animator or comic book artist. But I love mythology and mechanical design. I think everything that I love kind of stems from those two. I'm a big fan of Halo, mechanical design and mythology. I am a big fan of Marvel Comics. Big fan of Iron Man, Nova. Nova would have to be my favorite superhero of all time. So every time that I click onto the web and I see some kind of Guardians of the Galaxy 3 advertisement with a Nova picture, I get sad because I know they're just using that as clickbait.
Go on.
I see funny faces. Anyway, mythology, mechanical design. I like almost anything that has a giant robot in it, including any kind of anime that large mecha.
And that is the second or third reason why you're my brother.
Yeah, absolutely.
We are mecha bros.
I would have to say that I am a fan of real mecha as opposed to the super mecha genre. Super mecha is fun, but I like gears and pistons and oil as opposed to laser beams and things that are like ultra realistic. Well, I guess ultra realistic wouldn't be the right term, but things that are fantastical tend to fall by the wayside, except for Star Wars, in which case mythology kind of takes priority more than the mechanical design. But I will say this, the Star Destroyer is probably one of the worst designs of a spaceship ever, but it is the coolest thing to ever be put to film.
We'll have to talk about spaceship design.
Absolutely. I am looking forward to that, probably most of all.
All right. My turn?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right. So I'm Dante, as I said, from DanteDreams.com. Dantekiss on streaming. So I'm the eldest one here, and the eldest nerd. I'm a nerd of everything. I'm a fan of almost everything. It would be hard to pick out something that I'm not a fan of. Pop culture, comics, sci-fi, anime, history, historical fiction, fantasy, everything. I like it all. I love it all. My biggest influences are Star Trek, Star Wars, and Robotech. I'm a huge fan of mecha. I love it all. I love... well, actually, my definition for mecha is very wide as well. It's not just robots. It's spaceships. It's tools. It's cars. It's all mech. And I love it all. Specifically, though, giant robots, power armor, spaceships. Those are my loves. I love spaceships. I've been drawing spaceships since I was 5. So that's a long time. So I remember drawing like little BSG guys fighting TIE fighters and with enterprises in the background and just entire fleets on an 8.5 by 11 sheet, just drawing a bunch of spaceships. So
By BSG, you mean Battlestar Galactica?
of course. Well, what's the quote? What's Dwight's quote?
Beats bears.
Battlestar Galactica.
Exactly. Yes. So Battlestar Galactica. Yeah, I love the OG. I like the redo, but I love the OG. Except for the 80s version when they're on bikes, flying bikes. That's kind of weird. Anyways, Hollywood had a big thing for flying bikes in the 80s. Anyways, so I love Militaria. I love cosplay. I cosplay. I'm an old man and I dress up. And
You've got more self-confidence than I do in that area.
oh, I guess when you get this old
Both
and
of
you're
us.
still alive, you have confidence, or you die.
Was that like a Russian accent?
You die. And I'm also a toy collector, and I am a comic book artist and an author. I just finished my first novel. Started on my second. Actually, I've started like 10 novels.
You
but
finished the first one?
I finished the first one. Yeah.
Whoa.
And then I started a new one for NaNoWriMo. And I have a solid. I
Who's
know where that one's
NaNoWriMo?
going. So I plan on having 2 novels done this year.
Nice.
And then the rest of the year editing and proofing.
Dude, that's awesome, man. I'm so glad, dude.
Oh, you
we
didn't know-
we haven't talked about this
Oh
in
my
so long,
gosh.
bro.
Yeah, I mean the
I've been
holidays.
yeah, man. I've been
were
working and dang,
hard
dude.
socially.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
Yeah, I
Crazy.
can't believe you didn't.
I'm so
notice
happy to hear that, dude. Like, I'm literally like,
That was the point of our group.
Yeah,
so
man.
Eves,
Yeah.
the artist, and me, the artist, we're in an art collective for like the last 5 months with specific goals to get done. We had visual artists. I was writing the novel, editing the novel, and yeah. So I'm really proud about that. It's only a first draft, so I have a lot to do. But hopefully, you all will get to see that soon. But pretty much, I'm a big nerd, huge nerd. Marvel. I was collecting Marvel from back in the day. I love Marvel and DC. I love all the comic book publishers. I'm an X-Men guy from back in the day. Started collecting X-Men in like 85, 86. And Dark Phoenix is Phoenix is my favorite. Wolverine used to be my favorite. I think right now, Captain America is still my favorite for like the last 20 years or so. And how can you not love Batman and Superman and the icons of the DC universe? Specifically Batman. I'm a Batman dude. But role-playing games, RPGs, video games. I'm a Halo guy as well. Everything. Art, guns, bikes. Love it all.
nice.
So, did I leave anything out?
Nice.
And yeah, I did.
I mean, we got plenty of more episodes after this to like
Swords,
delve in.
shields, anime.
I think that's good.
Helmets,
Oh yeah,
different
up-
pieces of
figurines.
right
eyewear.
above me. One day we'll pan up. I've got a bunch of heads of people I took their heads. No, a bunch of helmets up there. Some of them I cosplay in. Spartan Knight. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Anyways, I like to dress up. What can I say?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
All right, so quick question. Eves, first
Oh,
anime
man,
ever.
Everybody's the first question.
First anime
You
ever.
guys have to be the ones who answer these first, man.
First
I
anime
should be
ever.
the one going last. Man, first anime ever.
We're
Oh,
not going to
jeez.
exclude you, Eves.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna probably edit all this stuff out of my
First anime ever.
first anime ever. Man, honestly don't know, man. I have a lot of memories watching Dragon Ball Z on Telemundo Sundays before mass. So that's probably, I would say right now, like my first anime,
So DBZ in Spanish.
basically.
Nice. I remember those days too.
Yep, Namek Saga just on repeat. The Saiyan and the Namek Saga on repeat. Like, you would want to know when they were about to fight Frieza. He'd come in, fight Piccolo, and then now they're fighting against the Raditz again. They're just on repeat constantly, just going back every couple months. So, But yeah, I didn't really get into anime until probably middle school when we actually got Cartoon Network on our like local cable stations. And like I remember all the kids like freaking out, like, "Oh my gosh, Dragon Ball Z's on at like 6 p.m. Everybody, did you watch the last episode?" And it was actually like the Buu saga was going on at the time, so everybody was like, they didn't even know what was going on with Dragon Ball Z. They just knew, oh, this is Dragon Ball Z. Like we'd go to like the library and watch like anime music videos, AMVs, and like we'd all surround like the computer. Whoever had like 30 minutes of computer time, we'd be all surrounding their computer, watching them watch Dragon Ball Z anime videos. And we just we all had like a fondness for it. We didn't all know the storylines or anything like that, but we knew like it was really cool to watch people fighting and shooting lasers and stuff. And when it finally came on Cartoon Network, it was cool, you know. It was like, oh wow, we actually know what the story is, what's going on. You keep up with it. They were, those episodes were actually just released in America, so we were like, you know, at pace with like the richer kids who lived in the city over, who knew like everything that was going on in Dragon Ball Z. I remember in like high school, I had a buddy of mine like record Dragon Ball Z on VHS and like let me borrow it so I could watch it. I remember that was like the Cell Saga, huh? Yeah, this is crazy. Yeah.
VHS.
Yeah. But yeah, that's I guess I would say that. I can't remember anything before that, so I'll say Dragon Ball Z.
Nice. Dante, first anime.
First anime ever would be Battle of the Planets, also known as G-Force. The Japanese name, I believe, was Ninja Science Team Gatchaman. And it was about these 5 like kids that would be just like normal hippie kids because it was like the 70s, right? And they turn into these like superhero wearing people with capes, and they were all like themed after birds. And they had this ship called the God Phoenix. It was this blue spaceship, which it would turn into a fiery phoenix effect, and it was beautiful. But it was these guys, they'd be like kung fu fighting with like an evil organization like the Hand or whatever. I can't remember what they were called. They were green uniform guys, but they were like standard superhero bad guys, you know. Yeah, so yeah, that was my first anime that I remember seeing. Spaceships, ninjas, well, so-called ninjas. But Robotech was like the one that stuck. That was the big one.
That was going to be my next question. Because if I have to answer the question, I wonder if Robotech would count. Because Robotech is like this amalgamation from Harmony Gold, isn't it? It's not necessarily...
It's still anime.
Yeah, it is, but I mean, it's all derived from... It's basically like the Power Rangers, in the sense that they took something else and then kind of retro.
You talking about Macross?
Yeah.
They took
like Macross was
Robotech is 3 different animes stitched together for the American audience. A lot of the early anime was just translated into whatever. But since these 3 seasons for these 3 mech shows were short, and you needed like 60 to 100 episodes to sell it, right? They stitched them all together. But basically, they took 3 anime shows, stitched them together. Still anime.
Yeah. Right.
In fact, there's a lot. I've seen this over the years, how a bunch of weebs from your generation and younger. No, seriously, I'm a weeb, so I can say that. But
I am not, so
you're not.
I resent that term.
You're not a weeb.
No, if I claim to be a weeb, I'm pretty sure there are people that will come after me.
Okay, whatever. Just don't say you're an otaku, because that's a
not.
bad word. Anyways, a lot of people are like, "Oh, that's not anime. That's American. That's American."
American.
Well, the word anime just means animation in Japanese. So if it, so any animation is basically anime. The term that we used back in the 80s and 90s was Japanese anime, and that fell out of favor, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 years ago. But it was a more, accurate whatever. And it reminds me of when I was a freshman in high school, I went to an anime club at 1792. That's a big store here in Orlando, sci-fi store. It was called Enterprise 1701, and now it's called Sci-Fi City, and there was an anime club there, and me and my buddy went there because we wanted to watch Akira, right? Because it just came out, and we're just freshmen in high school, and there were a bunch of adults there, and when my buddy's dad came to pick us up, this is hilarious. It's like, are you guys done watching your cartoons? Man, people stood up and wanted to fight him. They were like, whoa! And
He came inside and said that?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
We're like, let's get out of here. I'm going to tell him on Facebook tonight we mentioned him in a podcast. Not by name. But those who know.
Wow. So I started with.
What was your first anime, Tony?
It would have been Robotech then. I remember specifically. We were living in Texas at the time, and my dad would allow me to pick up one cassette. Again, this was VHS days. I don't remember how old I was. Maybe like 5 or 6 years old, and I would always I would not go beyond the third cassette of Robotech. Once they got to Mars, I was like, I'm done. I'm going back to disc one, or back to VHS one. Going back to, Rick Hunter and his little stunt plane interrupting the air show there. Like, for anybody that's seen that, you know what part of the series that's like the first episode. But for some strange reason, I never wanted to go beyond that part in the story. All I needed was in those first, 10 episodes?
You didn't like the love story?
I don't care much for it, I just all I wanted to see was transforming airplanes that looked like F-14s on, steroids, and then Battleoids. Give me Battleoids all day long.
It's like a Macross staple, right? For them to have a love story, music, and then crazy
icon heroines.
Or actually heroes too.
Yeah.
Now, where'd you get those VHS tapes? Were they your dad's?
Blockbuster.
Okay. Was your dad a fan, though? I thought you told me your dad was a fan. Or did he just watch it with you?
My dad would watch it with me, and he liked it a lot, but I wouldn't say that he was a fan. He was just into it. You know what I mean? It was one of those things that I brought home that he was like, oh, this is cool.
This'll keep him out of the streets.
At 6 years old, yeah, sure.
Hey,
Keep him from selling that dope.
On the mean streets of Wichita Falls.
Hey, them streets are tough out there.
Well, let me tell you, Robotech,
Cold is what they are.
Macross is great on its own, and I love Macross. And on its own, it's great. But Robotech is Robotech with all three of those sagas.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say you're just a Macross fan, almost.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But Robotech just had different kinds of mecha. Like the second series were like tanks, hover tanks, space tanks.
Something like that, yeah.
And then the third one where they were in power armor. They were on motorcycles that turned into power armor. And dude, I was sold.
I usually checked out by that time.
It's like season 3 is where Dante got hooked.
Oh, man.
I think I like season 3 as much as the Macross saga. So the new generation, also called Mos Pieta, that's the original.
Is that the one with the girl that's supposed to be like Rick Hunter's daughter or something?
No.
Oh, you're talking about pure Macross.
No, that you're talking about
the Robotech.
You're talking about the second series.
Yeah.
Dana was not Rick Hunter's daughter, but
the alien.
Yeah.
And
Miria and Max.
Max. Yeah, that was interesting too. That little love story.
So, basically, after that first season, I didn't watch Robotech. When the Macross Saga episodes ended, I very much didn't want to see anything else, and it wasn't until I got older that I decided to watch the whole thing through. But I always remember thinking that in the opening credits of Robotech, there was that woman on the motorcycle looking thing that pulled out the sniper rifle and then shot out the screen, and there was some weird looking mechanical panther at some point. And I just remember thinking, I don't remember that in the show. But I never got far enough to actually see it.
I love the original Robotech and beginning show. What do they call it? Intro?
Yeah.
Because it had all three sagas on it, and it was like, what is that? What is this? I mean, they were so different, and then, the variety was so much. Unfortunately, today, when
Harmony Gold tries to sell off their, market their Robotech. Whoever's in charge of Robotech nowadays, they just do Macross. All the other ones are secondary, tertiary. There's hardly any products, and it's like, you can only rehash the first, season of Macross so much, So evolve or die, Harmony Gold. My friends, I have friends that work at Harmony Gold, so
Really?
I do.
So you got some pull or some influence there?
I wouldn't go that far.
Okay.
I wouldn't go that far.
You know a guy that knows a guy?
No, I've had dinner with them. They've given me gifts. Ooh, maybe we shouldn't try that.
Oh, no.
and I love them, but I do not. I don't hold my. I mean, I speak the truth, and they might not like what I say. I don't know how they like, but I still have a guy there that I give advice to. I was like, or suggestions.
Quick question.
Yes.
Sorry. Does Harmony Gold have any like original content or
no?
They just
it's actually I think a holdings company, and they I think it's a real estate company based out of Italy,
really? Okay,
something like that. And then in the 80s they bought a bunch of Japanese properties.
Okay, to redistribute internationally.
I don't know. I mean, they did make a Robotech sequel called The Shadow Chronicles around 2007 or so, 2005.
That.
Yeah, so they did actually make that, and it was based off some characters from Macross. I don't know if they legally can say that, but yeah, some characters from Macross, and mostly Genesis Climber Mos Pieta, the third generation.
Okay,
nice.
Yeah.
So, but was it like different type of animation? Did they use
It was.
Japanese artists?
It was.
Like Voltron, the new generation, that was like on Nicktoons, and it looked like
so
Kappa Mikey.
Actually, so I think they actually had some. I can't remember all the details of that. This is just on Dead Reckoning. I am pretty sure they had some Japanese artists. They had collaboration with American artists, and they probably animated it in Korea, where most things are animated today, anyways.
Yeah,
and there was a lot of CG, but there was some cell animation that was straight up. It looked like anime of the day, and then most of the mech stuff was CG.
Okay, cool. Nice. Thanks for the input.
No problem. It's my love.
Yeah, I know. That's why I knew you had the answer to that question.
Yes. Oh yeah. In the comments, if you ever have a question about Robotech, ask me.
Probably don't want to speak so low because the mic can't
Ask
pick it up.
me.
Yeah, there you go. That's
the Robotech question.
any lows or whispers. It like we'll work out the dynamics of the voice editing, but yeah, you can't be like unless you're like speaking close to the microphone and whispering. Yeah, but you guys are doing awesome.
Yeah. So.
Don't ask me the first question.
All right, Dante, what has been your most recent obsession?
Most recent obsession was probably be Halo Infinite. I've been playing a lot of Halo. Just totally. Halo has had the best stories, even the stories that people don't like. Like Halo 5 is panned sometimes. It had some flaws. It wasn't horrible, but I still loved it. But Halo, ever since it was Marathon, another Bungie creation, it was beautiful. Just great stories. So Bungie made Marathon and Halo. Marathon was like a first-person shooter using sprites in the 90s. It's basic FPS technology. And then they eventually made Halo, which was almost like a reskinning of it or rebranding of it. So many similar elements. But yeah, I'm a die-hard Halo fan, so I've been, a lot of Halo. And what else have I been?
So you're gonna get Paramount Plus to watch the new Halo series?
I think I already have Paramount Plus. Oh no, I was using my buddy's Paramount Plus, and I think he let it expire, so I might.
It's time to call him up and tell him to re-up on that subscription.
So Halo, that's probably what I'm deepest into now. Is the answer, or are you talking about anime?
No. Anything really.
Oh, you know what else I've been nerding out on? The Expanse.
You had that on right before we came in, right?
Yeah, they just had their series finale the other day, the 6th episode of the 6th season, and it was so good. They ended it really well.
that the last episode, the 6th episode?
Yeah. And
It's usually
I mean,
like 10
I think
episodes.
they're usually around 10 episodes. It was a short season,
Mm.
but I'm wondering if they're going to do movies now, or maybe
Spin-off.
try to option off for someone else to pick up the series. They wrapped it up really well, though.
It was
6
originally on
seasons in a
Sci-Fi,
movie.
right?
Hmm?
It was-
6 seasons in a movie.
There you go.
Okay, Community, Dan Harmon. This guy,
6 seasons in a movie.
this guy.
So The Expanse was great hard science fiction, just great writing. I hear that it was a role-playing game. They were trying to make a role-playing game, and they were trying to sell it. They weren't having success selling the game, but their playthroughs became the scripts for this,
Wow.
and became the novels. And it's a beautiful thing. I have to admit, when I'm game master of campaign for RPGs, it makes me want to create on many different levels. It just makes me like more create. I just want to create more.
You should start record. Have you recorded any of your D&D
We
campaigns?
have, and it sucked because we didn't have proper mics. We were recording it straight off the laptop, and it sucked. We had some epic stories, and they just were not recorded.
You should just get a microphone and like hang it up the
Yeah,
ceiling
well-
where everybody's like sitting. You could do that. It might pick up everybody, but like, do that and then put it on your phone like you have over here.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
could
I might do
definitely
that.
come up with like the next Lord
I
of the
do.
Rings. This guy's the
Actually,
next
some
C.S.
people.
Lewis.
So one of my favorite RPGs, my favorite RPG of all time, is Palladium Games Rifts. Rifts is great. It's a legacy game system, but just the idea of it to bring in, you can bring in anything to Rifts. Really, I mean, it's like the idea of the multiverse. It is the idea of the multiverse, and the Rifts bring in anything you want from anywhere. Really, and it's just awesome. Anyways, so I'm planning on starting a campaign pretty soon. Someone's kind of pushing me, and he's like, "Hey, get all my people in there." Okay. well,
Oh, you talking about Brian?
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like,
I remember
"Ooh."
you telling me about that.
Nice.
And I'm like, "Oh,
Could you tell me? I was surprised by that. Was like, why can't I remember her name?
So yeah, there's a girl that wants to play, and
Yeah.
most of my campaigns, I think I've had one campaign or one role playing game group that did not have a girl in it. So, yeah.
Who be that? Oh.
All right. So what else?
Eves, latest obsession.
Latest obsession. So I went back home to visit my folks, and I had a lot of downtime. Kind of
What'd
was
you
a
get
strutting
into?
during that time. Funny enough, Star Wars.
Oh,
Yeah,
what?
I
Star Wars
watched
were you
all the
watching?
prequels, and then I watched all the sequels, and then I watched like The Empire Strikes Back because it's probably like the best one out of the
Oh,
original.
it's definitely
Absolutely.
The best. But let me ask you this: which one did you like better, the prequels or the sequels?
Oh,
I guess?
Let me
Yeah.
rephrase this. I watched The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. I didn't watch Revenge of the Sith, even though that's a good one. I just was like, I think after watching Attack of the Clones, I noticed after like kind of like the symmetry that they had at the, because whatever George Lucas says, like stories are like poetry. So like Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. Oh,
Return of the Jedi.
No. Empire Strikes Back. Sorry.
Okay.
Those two, like the way they end, they have like Luke and Leia looking at the galaxy as like Lando and Chewie are like flying away in the Millennium Falcon, but like at the end of Attack of the Clones, it has Anakin, and Padme, but like R2D2 and like 3CPO, they're like either they're it's like the same kind of like
Looking over Lake.
yeah, they're like in
Yeah.
the same. So it ends similarly. So I was just like, well, that was when I watched Attack of the Clones. I was like, huh, that's interesting. Let me just go watch the new movies and just see how they were, because I kind of like I have a not like a strong disdain, but I thought the episode 7 was good, and then 8 and 9 I thought they were terrible. But like it's some stuff kind of like I still don't like them, like as far as like where they took everything. But I have a newfound respect. I think there was a lot of work and time and craft that went into each of those movies, even though they kind of had to work off of what another creator made. So I think that's extremely difficult when one person has the reins on something and then you have to like finish off what they started, especially if they may not have given you like the best footing for it. So I think it's a lot about family, right? Rey's trying to look for a family. Kylo's betrayed his family. There's just like that dichotomy between them. That was interesting. Like Luke is rejecting everybody and he's not thinking about his family. He kind of knows what's happened. You know, he knows Han's dead, Leia's in trouble, but he's still like choosing not to interfere, you know, or to help. And so it's just this interesting, like, yeah, just like interesting.
Well,
thing.
he didn't really know, and when he found out, he was like, "Oh." And then there's a movie, and then he deals with it.
Yeah, but I think like when he sees Rey and Chewie with the Millennium Falcon, he knows Han's dead.
At that point,
but that's what I'm saying. Like, okay, he kind of figures like, okay, Han's dead. What happened? You know, and then I don't know. I can't remember all the scenes. I'm pretty sure he probably put two and two together that Ben killed him, or maybe Rey told him. But then at the same time, you know, his lack in judgment at one particular crucial moment in his training with Ben, he like realizes like, oh dang, I just like basically pushed this guy to the dark side. And Rey even like kind of confronts him about it, you know. So there's a lot of good scenes that I think like played into the overall story that was good, but there was some stuff where like the corny parts with them in the casino, it kind of plays in the same vein as like it still has that George Lucas poetry kind of thing, because in the same vein, like how Han and Leia were trying to run from the Empire, they're trying to escape, you know, Darth Vader, and he's sending the bounty hunters to go after them. Boba Fett's a boss in that movie, man. He's such a boss, even though they ruined him. Return of the Jedi ruined him. He's such a punk. And so, but aside from that, in the same vein, like in the Last Jedi, they're trying to formulate this plan to get a hacker to, you know, hack the starship or whatever. And everything goes awry and it doesn't work, and they're kind of like everybody's back together and they're like trying to survive. And even how the movie plays out, like I'm more looking at the scenes in the overall story. Like in Empire Strikes Back, the beginning scene is like the rebels are at a base, the Empire finds out where they are, right? You have the whole thing with Han looking for Luke and all this. It's cool, right? It's like a almost like a small movie inside of a bigger story, right? And so they're on that planet. Then they have to fight off the Empire as they're trying to escape, right? So, you know, they're successful in getting the Resistance to escape, right? The Rebel Alliance to escape. And then Han and Leia, are on this own adventure trying to, like, kind of keep away from them. But, like, in The Last Jedi, it's like they kind of split the two scenes, right? Like, the first scene is them trying to get off the planet. And Poe has this, like, star battle to destroy one of their, what does he call it? Dreadnought or something? Yeah. Yeah, and then the rest of the movie is them escaping. So it's kind of like the Han and Leia story of them escaping, but it's like a slow pace. I'm telling you, to me, it feels like Attack of the Clones episode. That's how I always like look at it.
Attack of the Clones or Empire Strikes Back?
No. Like the series,
Clone Wars.
The Clone Wars. It feels like an episode of that, like this long drawn out like battle, right? But at the end is the second half of Empire Strikes Back, right? Where they're actually fighting against, like they're on the planet fighting against, they got the AT-ATs, they're doing this whole thing, they got the ships out there, and they're trying to fight this cannon. It's interesting how he like cut it and spliced it, like how everything kind of like still matches with the sequel, but he subverted a lot of things. Like I don't think it was like necessarily he was trying to troll people. I just think he was like trying to work with not letting everybody come to the movie and be like, oh yeah, I knew that was gonna happen. I think he was just trying to like spice up the story. But again, like I think he left JJ with nothing to work with in the next movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a lot of cool moments. Luke fighting Kylo and stuff like that. But I'm gonna stop talking. I'm over here talking.
No, man, that's what we're talking about. I'm sorry. I think we need to start talk about Star Wars now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I, of course, the best trilogy is the original trilogy. Empire Strikes Back is the best. I mean, these are all my opinions, whatevs. But I love the prequels. I am a prequels apologist. I love the prequels.
Prequels are good in my opinion.
But I also love the sequels. You know, the prequels and more so the sequels. They all have flaws. You know, the sequels were always gonna have flaws, right? First, let's talk about the Disney acquisition. When that happened, when Disney bought the thing, my brain went here. It's like, okay, so Star Wars will always go on now, as long as there's a Disney, as long as there's a Civilization, you know, as long as there are shareholders, Star Wars is going to go on. And that part of me was like, okay, good. So it's not going to die with Lucas. You know, it's not going to go away when he retires, you know? And that part of me was like, yeah. And then part of me was like, Okay. So now it's going to be Star Wars by committee, though. It's going to be some corporation, some boss who's not an artist, and they're going to be calling your shots, right? And it's a balance, you know. It's like, okay, so at least there's Star Wars. It's going to go on, but now it's going to be a lesser thing. And back in 2012, I think it was, I was like, well, I can accept that. I can go with that, you know. So I always knew that there were going to be flaws with the productions that came afterwards, and I think they exceeded my expectations.
Yeah, I think with the technology today, it's kind of like you're always going to get a good movie. Like, I even watched, that was the other thing, I watched Solo and Rogue One. So all the movies, quality wise, Lucasfilm, like the VFX for Lucas, like you have companies outside of Lucas that are like, they've been using them for years, right? So they got the best quality effects. You're never going to be like, all right, that's unbelievable. Obviously you have to, like, you know, have a suspense of disbelief.
I don't think technology is ever going to make art. First of all, I just want to make that point. You know, it's the artist that's going to make art.
Yes, I understand what you're saying.
Technology is just a tool.
It is. I'm just saying that there are things that you have directors who are willfully choosing not to take on a project because they don't think the technology is up to snuff with their own mental vision of what the
Cameron
is a very big guy like that. So, but
Lucas,
like Solo was good. Again, here's my thing. I understand the whole thing by like Star Wars by committee thing. Like, oh yeah, like you're gonna have a bureau figuring out what movie, taking census and figuring out what people want to see. Blah, blah, blah. Like that. Yeah, I do have a problem with. I think that's why we got Solo, which again is a movie that was good. It was
great.
It was a good movie.
It was a great movie.
You guys want to say great? Okay, I'm not trying to elevate
very
it.
much enjoyed
Solo.
It was
I loved
action
that
packed.
movie.
It definitely had that like
I did not hate
swashbuckling.
it.
Like it was a good movie.
I
Again,
agree.
I watched it. Yeah.
I agree too.
Could we have done without it? Probably. Like,
do we do without any Star Wars?
No. You're right. No.
We could have done without anything after Return of the Jedi. To be honest,
let's not get into the critiquing of what I'm saying here. I'm just saying that. Just like in the same way you said Star Wars won't die with Lucas now. It's the same thing. Like now you have people who like, give me all the Star Wars content that you can give me, and you get flooded with the good and the bad. So then now you have like people critiquing every little thing because it's like, this is not the Star Wars I wanted. This is not the Star Wars I grew up with. You know, like you get that. So that's the fear, right? Like even the whole like weren't they supposed to do like a fighter pilot Star Wars movie?
Rogue Squadron.
That got canceled. That got canceled.
It's not technically.
She's just off the project?
No, she's not even off the project. It's just on an indefinite
hiatus. When you say indefinite hiatus,
true. However, I did see some news recently that what movie was it that she recently gave up doing? We're talking about Patty Jenkins, right?
Yeah,
we're talking about Patty Jenkins. Who did the first Wonder Woman, which was amazing. The second Wonder Woman 84, I didn't even bother watching that, to be honest.
It wasn't horrible.
You better watch it. You have my HBO Max account. You take a gander.
I guess now that I don't have to pay for it, I'll watch it. But
just like you said about the other movies.
Hey, I vote with my dollar.
Oh my
anyway,
God.
Me too.
She recently gave up directing and moved to more of a producer role on another film, and the word is that is because she's focusing on both her Star Wars project and another movie. So there may be more movement behind Rogue Squadron, and they just haven't announced anything yet because they did take it off of the release schedule, which now gives her time.
What did she do? Did she do 30 Dark Zero? Didn't she do that?
No.
I think she did.
Did she?
I think she did 30 Dark. That's why I'm like, okay.
Zero Dark 30.
Zero Dark 30. I can't, man.
I know it was a female director. And
yeah. I think it's Patty Jenkins, and that's why I was like, I hate this guy's gonna go ahead, young Jamie.
For the effect of making sure that we're accurate.
She did that, and I want to say she did Detroit too.
Did she?
I want to say she did
with
Detroit. Yeah, with your boy Finn.
With Finn?
With you.
John Boyega?
I'm not. I'm a fat version of Finn right now.
You know what? Before we go on, you probably really should be on the video because when you get animated,
you're very entertaining.
Animated.
Yeah, you should really be on video. I don't know
I'm
why
glad
you
I'm not
don't,
on video right
I don't
now.
know why you want to be young Jamie off screen.
No, because I don't want any of this being. I don't want anything to be Google searched and be like, oh, that's the guy. I know that guy. Like, I'm good. I'm good.
So you don't want stalkers on ArtStation?
She directed Monster.
Monster?
Monster.
What about
which
30 Dark Zero?
won an Academy
Zero Dark
Award.
Thirty.
Oops, sorry.
I'm not seeing that.
There's probably another female
Nope.
director.
What? It wasn't her? Dang.
Nah, I think that was what's her face? Gene Cameron's wife, right?
James Cameron has a wife?
One of
Ex-wife.
his ex-wives.
He's got many ex-wives.
Yeah, he does.
Dang, I thought it was her. Okay, I was wrong. Sorry.
Catherine Bigelow.
Man, what has Patty Jenkins done then?
She did Monster. She did Wonder Woman. She did
How horrible that we just conflated two of the greatest women directors together. Like they're the same.
Nah.
Sorry,
I-
man.
I
I, thought
just-
she had like I thought she had a history of working like in a war movie atmosphere, so I thought that would like that kind of like shoot her in for Rogue Squadron. You know what I'm saying? Because
I believe she was blacklisted after Monster for a bit.
Patty Jenkins.
Yeah, I don't think she was approached about anything or
Why? She
wasn't
won an
allowed to
Oscar.
do anything because of
for 14
and
years.
part of it had to have been because she was a woman. I mean, look at it. The very next big movie that she did was Wonder Woman.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, didn't she do the bomber, the Iraq?
Nope. That
Nah,
isn't.
bro.
That,
Monster's like her only thing before Wonder
Yeah.
Woman, dude.
Who did that one? Wasn't it also a female director?
I think that is also.
We can just edit all this out, guys. Don't
No,
worry.
that's
Bigelow.
I'll probably just edit it out.
You're
What
talking
did-
about Hurt Locker?
Hurt Locker, yeah. Who
Yeah.
directed Hurt Locker?
Hurt Locker? Was that a woman too?
You want to guess? Before I
Catherine
tell you, Catherine Bigelow.
Dude, she's a great director. Where's this
Catherine
lady,
Bigelow
man?
is
She's
amazing.
the military girl.
What?
Okay.
Yeah, where's what? Dude, she's on fire. Why didn't they should get her to do Rogue Squadron, honestly. I'm not gonna front. I'm just gonna be honest.
No,
Because
I
thought
kind
it
of
was
like
Patty
the
Jenkins,
idea of Patty Jenkins, the daughter of an Air Force pilot, doing.
boo.
no,
She doesn't make her
Rogue Squadron.
knowledgeable about Air Force piloting. Oh, my dad was an Air Force pilot. Yeah, I'm a.
Hey, if she
gives her
grew up
insight.
around fighter pilots, but she might.
What does that mean?
Know what that
It means
atmosphere
that
is
she
like.
has some insight onto, whatever, and rather than someone that doesn't have anything to do with it.
So you're
It's
saying that
coming straight from their imagination, and it might not be a good imagination.
Okay.
Who knows?
Okay, I get you that. So you're saying, all right, from the age of 16 to like 18, she was around fighter pilots. She may not have been super interested in it, but her family member worked in it. But somebody who takes like 2 years of intensive training and probably learns how to actually pilot one of those things can't make a movie
It
They
depends on
could.
if
of a
Tony,
movie.
Depends on
Tony
if they
Scott,
do
I
that.
don't think had anything to
Because
do
if it's a
with
Joel
the Navy and made
Schumacher
Top Gun.
who takes over some property that he's not familiar with, or at least abuses, we don't want that. Okay, Joel Schumacher, the guy with the
bad-
nipple suits, that guy. Okay,
Why you got to put him in there, man?
because there's a director.
worst director
that
of a
director
comic
should.
book
He's
movie.
a great director. That is a great director.
Wait, what is he
Joel
directed?
Schumacher.
What did he
He's
do?
a great director. I can't remember, but he's
He
done
just
it.
had
Dang, you're not
no
helping your cause,
business
dog.
touching
Alright,
Superman
he's
or
just-
Batman.
He just said should
Dude,
not.
she did Detroit too. Catherine Bigelow did Detroit too. Dang, I like all her movies. Dang, I need
When
to
you
get back in
discover
this.
you love a director.
She did Point Break. She did Point Break.
Which one?
The first one.
Yeah.
Oh,
With Keanu
yeah?
Reeves, yeah.
Point Break
Dude,
is such
wow,
an
how did I
amazing
not know
movie.
this lady, man? Golly. She's already the best woman director in my opinion. Dude. I'm not gonna lie, dude. She's got a lot.
So we're gonna
of
talk more Star Wars, or are we switching to directors?
Well,
now?
you never really told us what
Joel Schumacher, DC Cab, St. Elmo's Fire, Lost Boys,
St. Elmo's
Flatliners.
Fire was Catherine Bigelow.
No,
Captain
Joel
Bigelow.
Schumacher.
Joel Schumacher.
Joe Schumacher. Okay.
Captain
He's-
Bigelow.
he's-
Catherine
he's-
Bigelow.
He's got a bunch of great movies out there. A bunch of great Hollywood movies.
All right.
Anyways.
Before my time. Okay, but I wanted to. Okay, before we go back on the Star Wars track, because I kind of felt like this thing might have gotten.
No.
You guys were listening intently as I was talking about it. So I was
That's
like,
what
oh,
we're
man,
supposed to talk about.
Tangents.
But I want to know what Tony's.
No, I think Tony. Do you want us to go to you, or shall we continue our Star Wars?
At least talk about your most recent obsession, and then go back into Star Wars. You know.
Okay. My most recent obsession has been a lot of Mass Effect. I'm going back through the Legendary edition, and a lot of Star Wars.
I
I've been
figured.
going through the audiobooks of the High Republic, and I'm enjoying it. I'm having a lot of fun. It's I want to say it's different, but it's not. It's just more Star Wars in a different setting.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the thing that they're doing really well is that they're committing to a story as opposed to just let's keep adding on. Like there is this broader story that's all planned out that looks like they spent a lot of time making sure that they knew what they were doing when they went into it. There is some weird stuff. For instance, there is a character that is just a rock. Like 100% just a rock. And he winds up saving the day, and you're kind of left questioning, like, was the rock there to begin with, or is it just like this is an actual sentient rock and they're just fooling with us right now? Yes.
Does it move?
We don't know.
Or is this, how do you know the rock is the same rock?
Because it's the only it's a man-sized boulder. And
It happens to be at certain places at that time. Right?
Yeah. And you're
that boulder in the child.
I'm wondering if it's meant to play off as like the joke of haha, there's a rock, or if it's legitimately there's a rock that moves when nobody's watching and it does things when people aren't watching, and we're just going to leave it at that. So it's been interesting.
Nice.
But the whole High Republic story has been good. You're getting this look into the Jedi at kind of the height of their power. And the thing that's probably the most different about it is this sense that the Jedi are exploring how different they can be from one another while still maintaining that they are all the same. You know, we've got Jedi that are looking into how far can I go in the Force? How much can I blur the lines? And apparently it's okay. Like, there are Jedi who come up with personal conflict and decide to go on these journeys to rediscover themselves, and the Jedi Council is like, yeah, we're fine with that, go ahead and do it, you know. And then by the time that you get to episode 1, it's like you're either this or you're not a Jedi, you know. And I mean, we saw how much Qui-Gon Jinn struggled with the Council, and they were basically like, okay, well, you have Obi-Wan Kenobi and sit over there, because we don't want you. Right? No, he wasn't on the council.
I could have sworn Qui-Gon was on the council.
No, he had been.
That's one of the things that
he had denied
Obi-Wan...
the invitation to it. He had been asked to be on the council several times, apparently, and every time I was like, I don't want any part of that.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember one of Obi-Wan's lines is, "You'd be on the council now if you didn't have this attitude." Or something like that.
So it's and you know, I don't know if it's Lucas that said it or if it's Filoni that said it. But Qui-Gon is supposed to be considered like the last true Jedi. You know, who holds the last true ideas of a Jedi.
They're all corrupt after that.
Yeah. And I mean, it's corrupt in the sense of complacency. You look at episode 1 and you get this idea that the Jedi Knights themselves are in a point of, you know, Palpatine says it, this dogmatic idealism. And one of my favorite theories out there is this idea that when you look at midichlorians and how much fandom hates midichlorians, you mention midichlorians, and the Star Wars fan just skin starts to crawl.
I laughed at you in conceit.
Yeah, but there's this idea or a theory out there that when you look at midichlorians, the very idea of them is supposed to represent what the Jedi have become. They've gotten to a point now, the Jedi. People who believe in the light side of the Force. People who believe that, you know, as Yoda said, that the Force flows through everything. It's what connects and binds us. And all of a sudden, they have gone out and quantified the amount of Force a person has in them by microbes in people's bloodstreams.
If there's a direct correlation, what's the problem with that?
Well, this idea that someone who believes in the mysticism of the Force and that the Force connects everything is now saying, well, hey, you don't have enough.
Well, isn't it the potential to grow in the Force, like through training? That's like
absolutely
to be able to harness it and to like utilize more of it, right? Use the natural energy surrounding that binds us and surrounds us. And...
Yeah. So why are the Jedi now, by the time that you get to episode 1, saying to certain people, "Hey, you don't have enough of it. Well, you can't be a Jedi."
Well, did they ever? Well, I guess I don't have a direct like line from the movie where they're like rejecting someone, but
if you go through the chronology of Star Wars, then you can't really map that out in time and time that up. But if you look at the way Star Wars evolved from A New Hope all the way down into the prequels, when people watched A New Hope, everybody thought anybody could be a Jedi. You must come and learn the ways. You know, Luke just gets swept up with Obi-Wan Kenobi into this beautiful adventure, and then by the third movie, he's basically a full-fledged Jedi Knight who now needs to confront the one thing that he fears, which is his dad.
He was kind of an orphan, had nowhere to go. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, yeah. So Harry Potter before Harry Potter. But anyway,
I wanted to go back to a little bit. Well, to rewind a little bit for what you said about the Jedi Order. There's another thing we mentioned about like the corruption, or like how Qui-Gon was like the last pure one. Like even in episode 2, when they're talking about like there being like their vision of the future is clouded by the dark side of the Force, and they realize there's like there's somebody in the dark side that's like messing things up here. And like, well, Mace Windu comes up like, should we tell people that our power of the Force is diminishing?
Should we inform the Senate that our power to use the Force has diminished?
He's like, no. Let us not do this.
Yoda's kind of like, I don't want to show my hand just yet.
Yeah. He's like, no. But he was kind of right. It was like almost like a double-edged sword, because he's kind of right. Like, I don't want them to know that we can't use the Force, because actually the Sith is actually in the Senate. So if we say that, he has the upper hand at that point. But at the same time, it's kind of like shows like kind of like the shadiness of it. Like, we actually don't want to give away our hand, because like we don't want to show that we're actually weak. So it's like this weird, like they're actually relying more on their Force, like their own power, their own willpower to like dictate how the future is gonna go. It was interesting. I was just like, man, these guys are kind of being shady right now. It's weird, but they still lost. So, yeah. But my bad. I'll let you continue.
No, absolutely, man. I've been enjoying the High Republic a lot.
How many books is it?
I think we're up to
cross media.
Yeah, it's been there's books. I want to say
books.
that there's at least 3, 6, maybe 8 books so far.
Okay.
If you include like the child novels, and there's a lot of comics involved. I think there's an entire line that's been mixed in with some of the current comic books taking place throughout the Galactic Civil War with Luke. They've been mixing some stuff in recently with that.
Isn't there like a game coming out too?
So there were rumors of it that there would be a game.
No, there's like a game that just came out. Like, not a game that just came out, but they showed like a
Visions,
like a teaser
not Visions,
or something. Yeah, it's like
Eclipse, Star Wars Eclipse.
Yeah. Is that during the High Republic too, or no?
I think you might be right. I think it might be,
I
because
don't know.
technically the High Republic ends when Episode 1 begins.
Oh, really?
Yeah, or at least 50. I think it's 50 years before Episode 1.
Oh.
So
no, it's like 1,000 years.
no, the
God,
High Republic
was like
the High
way in
Republic
the
takes place
past.
200 years before the.
Because
Battle
Yoda's
of
in the High
Yavin.
Republic, right? Yoda's still there.
Yoda's in it, yes, but
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
900 years old.
So he was like at the end of the High Republic. You're saying like he witnessed it, and then he just kind of
No, he was
watched
he was
society
I think he was
degrade.
a knight through most of that, as opposed to a Jedi Master. I don't know. We haven't seen very much of Yoda yet. But yeah, no, the High Republic is supposed to end 50 years before Episode 1 begins. So we get maybe Palpatine's kind of the end of the High Republic. I don't know. But guys, this has been fun. I had a lot of fun talking through all this stuff. I mean, we didn't even get to some of the stuff we really wanted to talk about.
Yeah, we were supposed to talk about 2021 disappointments and like highlights, and then the same thing with 2022. But,
I say we have a reason to do this again.
I mean, that's
I
you're right.
still have a lot more to say about Star Wars, so
Might need to make a separate podcast about that or something, man.
talk about some Star Wars.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have to dedicate an entire time to that soon.
But for our first episode, I think we pretty good. We talked about a lot of stuff.
Episode 0, the one where we messed everything up.
No, I think it was a little, we kind of, I don't say got off the rails. We just kind of talked about what we wanted to talk about. I kind of opened up the can of worms when I started. Yeah, my latest discussion has been Star Wars.
that was perfect. That was perfect. That's
You want to get us talking? Mention Star Wars.
bro. I have so much to talk about still.
Yeah,
about Star Wars.
The movies were good. I probably watched at least, dang. Yeah, it's probably
I have a
6
lot
movies.
to say about the sequel series. I have a lot to say about all the Star Wars. I love them all.
I can't wait.
We'll see what they do in the future with it. But,
Gosh, I kind of want to talk about the animated series now.
but the Visions?
All the animated series are great, Rebels,
All right.
Clone Wars.
Well,
Bad Batch.
thank you for joining us. And if you'd like to hear us ramble on more, stay tuned because we'll have more coming.
Yeah, we'll post this up on all the podcasting and social media outlets like iTunes and all that.